Every night before going to bed, the man would sprinkle fine sand around his bed, seal the door frame tightly with duct tape, and chain his ankles together. Only after completing this entire ritual would he lie down and start fiddling with a Rubik's Cube, trying to keep himself awake. But no matter how hard he tried, he'd always wake up in an unfamiliar field, with a golden scarab beetle in his pocket. Just as he was about to ask an old man nearby where he was, the man suddenly opened fire without saying a word. Stephen had no choice but to run for his life, eventually diving into a crowd to escape. But then, something strange happened. The villagers all stepped aside, and a blond man walked out from among them. He was hosting some sort of mystical ceremony. With a staff in hand, the blond man waved it over people's arms. As he did, glowing green tattoos lit up on their skin. He declared one man a righteous soul. But when an elderly woman stepped forward, the scale tattoo on her arm suddenly turned red, marking her as impure. Without hesitation, the blond man chanted an incantation, and the woman instantly withered into a dry corpse. Just then, a group of mercenaries arrived and informed the blond man, Arthur, that the golden scarab had been stolen. The thief, they said, was hiding among the crowd. Arthur responded with a secret signal, and all the villagers dropped to one knee, except Stephen, who stood awkwardly alone. It was obvious he was the one they were looking for. Arthur approached and asked Stephen to hand over the scarab. Though confused, Stephen obediently reached into his pocket, but just as he was about to pass it over, his hand jerked back uncontrollably. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't unclench his fingers. Then his legs took off running, entirely against his will. Arthur's men tried to grab him, but Stephen's eyes suddenly rolled back in his head. When he came to, he was covered in blood and surrounded by unconscious bodies. Arthur and his followers closed in again, so Stephen jumped into a nearby delivery truck and floored the gas pedal. But the truck was too slow. Soon, they caught up. One mercenary even jumped onto the truck. Stephen managed to fend him off using a cupcake, but then another attacker appeared on the right. Surrounded, Stephen's eyes rolled back again. When he came to, all his attackers were down, and he was holding their weapons. He began to realize he might have some kind of superpower. Overjoyed, he didn't notice the oncoming truck until the last second. He swerved just in time, but the mercenaries behind him weren't so lucky. Their vehicle was crushed. The last two survivors were knocked off the cliff by a stray wooden beam. As danger loomed, Stephen suddenly woke up in bed. Relieved, he checked his ankle chains and saw that the seals on the door were intact. It was all just a nightmare. Wanting to shake off the bad vibes, Stephen got dressed up and went to a restaurant, hoping to meet the woman he liked. But she hung up on him without a word. Dejected, he returned to his apartment. As he was about to drown his sorrows, he noticed the table had been moved. He pushed it back to its original spot and discovered a hidden compartment. Inside, he found a key and a cell phone, with tons of missed calls from someone named Layla. When he called her back, she kept referring to him as Mark. Before he could ask who Mark was, he heard someone call his name from behind. Following the voice, Stephen ended up in the bathroom, where the lights flickered wildly, and the whole building seemed to shake like an earthquake. Terrified, Stephen ran for the elevator. As the doors opened, he saw a creature with a raven's head charging toward him. But in the blink of an eye, it turned into an old woman. Trying to play it cool,